Hi, and welcome to my 2022, well, almost 2023, guide for killing Vorkath in old school RuneScape. Vorkath has been one of the most commonly killed bosses since his release. While he doesn't really have a big ticket drop item, besides one that's 1 in 5k, Vorkath is very consistent. Unlike other methods that rely on getting those big drops for the hourly GP to be good, Vorkath is consistent from his average drops alone. Check most high level or rich players, and I guarantee you they'll have a few hundred Vorkath kills. So why should you kill him and what does he drop? I briefly explained why you should kill him, but I want to show you what he does actually drop, and what the hourly rates you can get depending on your gear setup. So first, let's talk about the gear. The rate of GP is going to depend on what style you use to kill him. For starters, or entry into killing Vorkath, you can use a Blowpipe. The Blowpipe's the worst you can use, well, the worst main method you can use. Killing Vorkath with a Blowpipe is going to come in at around 1.8 million GP per hour, and you're going to be getting trips that are only 1 to 2, 3 maximum kills. The second best way to kill Vorkath for money is going to be the Dragon Hunter crossbow. While this item is pretty hefty for most players, using the DHCB, or Dragon Hunter crossbow, will net you about 3 million GP per hour. And then the final common way to kill him is using full melee with a lance, a Dragon Hunter lance. This nets around 3.3 million GP per hour, but don't expect that full amount, as I believe that's with full efficient gear with Torva, Infernal, Dragon Claws, and all of that. And this is my favorite way to kill him personally, because you don't lose as much money as you do with Dragon Hunter crossbow, because when you're using the crossbow, you spend money on the bolts. So what does Vorkath actually drop? The average Vorkath kill is worth around 130k GP, and I believe that includes his hide and his bones. So first of all, he's going to drop 2 superior dragon bones every single kill, which is 20k, and then also 2 blue dragon hide, but usually you're going to leave the dragon hide. He has several different drops, being rune alks, different dragon items, hides, runes, bolts. He can also commonly drop magic logs, dragon bones, etc. For his main drops, it's not the best. Obviously, he's going to have the Vorkath pet at 1 in 3k, a draconic visage at 1 in 5k, a skeleton visage at 1 in 5k, a dragon bone necklace, which is 1 in 1k, only being 66k though, and then of course a jar at 1 in 3k. He also drops the Vorkath head, and this has a 1 in 50 drop rate, but players will receive a Vorkath head guaranteed on their 50th kill, and this can be used to make a Ava's accumulator into assembler, which for most scenarios is best in slot. So what are the requirements to kill Vorkath? First of all, to unlock him and kill him in the first place, you must have completed Dragon Slayer 2, and while you actually do fight him for the first time in the middle of the quest, and you can't progress without killing him, so this guy could be used for that as well. On the combat side of the requirements, for melee Vorkath, 70 prayer mandatory in my opinion for piety, and then you're going to want pretty high, being 90 plus in attack, strength, and hit points, and try to have as much defense, but I wouldn't do it if you have anything lower than 70. Higher the better for each skill, obviously. For ranged Vorkath, I highly recommend getting 74 prayer and buying Rigor, but if you can't do that, you can stay at 70 prayer, 90 plus ranged, and hit points recommended along with a high amount of defense. Higher the better, obviously. Alright, so now that we talked about what Vorkath actually drops and the requirements, let's talk about some gear setups. For the first setup, we're going to be just doing the basic Blowpipe setup. As you can see, I have full Void. I have Elite, but if you don't, normal is fine. Blowpipe. For the boot slots, have Rangers, I'm using Blessed, Snake, whatever. For the ring, if you can't afford an Archer's ring, you could do a Brimstone. I don't know how much cheaper that really is. Or maybe an Explorer's ring for prayer bonus. In the next slot, you're going to have a Salve Amulet mandatory, because the Salve Amulet's actually better than the Slayer Helmet, so you're always going to have the Salve. And mine is the EI, so it's the Enchanted and Imbued. And then obviously, since we're not using bolts, I just have a blessing. And then for the weapon, Blowpipe obviously is loaded with amethyst darts. And then for the back slot, you either use the accumulator or an assembler if you have it. Then in the inventory, I have a BGS switch. And the reason for this is because it helps a lot if you at the start of the kill BGS him and reduce his defense. So I just take a melee void helmet for the switch, BGS, and then 2 other strength items, being a Berserker Ring and a Fire Cape. Then I'm going to have a anti-venom potion because he does venom you, a Divine Bastion. You can do a normal Bastion. Obviously though, if you can't get bastions for some reason, maybe you're an Iron Man, then just do ranged. Then I'm going to have a super extended anti-fire, pretty much mandatory at Vorkath. You're going to be using this along with the Pray Mage Prayer, 2 super restores, and then the rest of my inventory is pretty much food. I have 3 manas, 4 Karam wands, and more manas. Then I bring a rune pouch. You're going to want to have the runes to cast Crumble Undead, because that is one of the mechanics you're going to deal with, is using the Crumble Undead spell. So I just have a mix of runes to be able to teleport to my house and also use the Crumble Undead spell. So since we went over the basics pretty much, I'm just going to go quickly over the next 2 gear setups here. This is going to be the Dragon Hunter crossbow method. So instead of a blowpipe, Dragon Hunter crossbow. In the shield, the best in slot is actually a Dragon Fire Ward, but I don't have that, so I'm using a anti-dragon shield. In the ammo slot, you're going to want to use Ruby Dragon Bolt Ease, and then I have a switch in my inventory in the first slot there being Diamond Dragon Bolt Ease. You can sub out for the normal of those instead of Dragon for less expense. Then you'll see I have the 3 potions again, Bastion, Super Extended Anti-Fire, and Venom, 3 restores, the food, and then instead of a BGS switch, I just have a blowpipe switch. And really, you don't even have to bring a blowpipe, it's just to spec and kind of heal. You can try bringing a BGS switch, and some people don't even bring anything at all, they just bring more food. So try it out and see what works better for you. Okay, so for the final setup I'm going to show, there's more setups than just this. Like instead of a blowpipe, you can try using a dragon crossbow, but that's a story for another day. This is going to be the melee setup, and I'm using the Dragon Hunter Lance. I wouldn't use the Fang here. I have used it, but I'm pretty sure the Lance is still better, and it's even cheaper. So what you'll see is we still have the Salve Amulet regardless. You wouldn't ever use a Slayer Helmet when killing melee Vorkath, I think, unless you have Infernal. Anyway, then for the head slot, so what I've equipped is far from the best in slot. I mean, best in slot is full Torva, a Vernic, all of that. I don't have that. So what I'm wearing is a Serpentine helm, and it is not guard, is actually better. It gives you more strength, but also the Serpentine makes it so you don't have to use anti-venom, so that's cool. Still using the Salve Amulet. We got a Fire Cape because I'm not cool enough for an Inferno. If you have a Bandos chestplate, use that. I have a Fighter Torso. I'm using Tassets. I started with Obsidian Legs. You can use Justiciar for more defense. Dragon Hunter Lance. I have a Dragon Defender. Using a Vernic if you have it. Blessing. I'm using Ferocious Gloves. That was one of the first upgrades I made from Barrows while killing Vorkath because it's a really good strength bonus. Then I have Primordial Boots. That was my second upgrade from Dragon Boots, so use Dragon Boots if you don't have these. Then Berserker Ring Imbued. Brimstone if you don't have it. And for the spec weapon, I'm using a BGS. Claws, I believe, are actually better, but yeah. Using a Divine Super Combat instead, with the gear looking pretty similar. I do use an Angler though, and eat at the start of the fight. And then you'll see on the bottom, I have 2 items that make you scratch your head a little, and that is the Slayer Staff and an Occult Necklace. So the reason I have those is because you can use the Slayer Staff to auto-cast Crumble Undead to make it a little easier, but also equipping the staff gives you about 15 magic accuracy. As you can see in my attack bonus right now, it's minus 88. So that means that I can actually splash on the little Crumble Undead guy, and that is why I also have the Occult. So when I need a Crumble Undead, I just put these 2 on. I'm pretty sure this is the way people do it. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if there's a better way to do this, but because I don't want to splash, I just equip the Occult. Well, we know what he drops and what gear to use, but how do you actually get there? Vorkath is found at a dock in North Relica, and you talk to a guy who will send you off to Vorkath, and he's also the one that you claim your items at if you die. The standard method of getting there is to go to your player-owned house by using the teleport spell, use the restore pool, portal Nexus to Lunar Island and bank there, and job done. If you don't have high construction and a maxed out house, you can set your house to Rimington and kill Vorkath on World 330. This will let you tele to outside your house and then just go in and use someone else's house since you're on the house party world of 330, allowing you to use the restore pool and then portal Nexus to Lunar Island. The reason you actually go to Lunar Isle or Lunar Island is because if you talk to the banker on the very right, you'll be able to bank normally, and then when you're done with him, talk to one of the other 2 bankers and you'll get teleported practically right next to the boat to go to Vorkath. I'm sure there's other methods to get to Vorkath like Fremennik Sea Boots 4, but this is the standard because you can bank on Lunar Island and then start the fight. Vorkath is actually really simple, and it boils down to just a few special attacks you have to worry about, but it goes as this, and I'll show on screen as well. His first attack is just a magic attack, which is a blue ball that deals magic damage. This can be reduced and I believe fully avoided if you just pray mage. The next attack is going to be a ranged attack, which is like a green spiky ball. This does range damage. There will be a dragon fire attack, which just deals normal dragon fire damage. If you have a super extended anti-fire and a dragon fire shield, I believe you will completely negate this. A venom dragon fire attack, which I believe is the same as the previous one, but it can inflict a venom. This is why you bring a anti-venom. A pink dragon fire attack, which actually deactivates your prayers, but you can just turn them back on. A fireball attack. This attack, he shoots a fireball straight up into the sky, and then after a few ticks, it will land where you're standing. So you want to make sure to move at least 2 tiles away from it because it can deal a ton of damage. I think it can deal upwards of 90s, so yeah, move out of this. His second to last attack is the zombified ice attack. This attack, he shoots ice at you and freezes you in place. Then he will spit out a little zombified spawn, which you have to use crumbled undead on. It will charge at you, and if you don't kill it fast enough, it will blow up and deal a ton of damage, so you want to make sure you use crumble undead as fast as you can. And then the last attack, and the most interesting one in my opinion, is the acid pool attack. He spits acid onto the ground and then continuously shoots fireballs at you, so you have to keep moving, and if you stand still, you will take a lot of damage. This is the attack at Vorkath that turns boys to men, because you can do this method called a Woox walking. So what is Woox walking? The way you do it changes depending on what attack style you're using, being the crossbow, blowpipe, or melee, but essentially you're just manipulating how you attack him and moving constantly. Melee is the easiest in my opinion, and blowpipe is probably the hardest because it's so fast. You might need a more in-depth guide individually on Woox walking to fully understand it, but as you can see on the screen here while I'm meleeing, I essentially hit him, walk 3 tiles back. This gives me enough time to reset my attack, and then I go back. You want true tile indicator on for this, and you just look at where the tile is going to click. Once you get it down, for melee especially, it's super easy, and I do it every single kill. It does save a lot of time. You do deal reduced damage to Vorkath while he's in the acid pool phase, but you can still deal damage regardless. So you're going to want to learn how to do this. Crossbow, it's a little different because of the range of the crossbow. You basically just stand towards the back of the arena or at the entrance, and then you want to attack in a certain way. It could be tricky to learn for the crossbow or blowpipe, but if you're using melee, it is so easy. And I do just quickly want to mention, if you're doing melee, he can use a melee attack. He basically swipes you, and I have died from it before. You don't really pray against it. It's kind of just hope he doesn't do it, and if he does, hope it doesn't deal a lot of damage. Okay, well now we've learned what he drops, how to get there, what gear you should use, and his mechanics. It's time to actually show you a fight with Vorkath. I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm just gonna play a sped up kill using the blowpipe, seeing as how most beginners will be starting with the blowpipe, and especially if you're just trying to get the kill for Dragon Slayer 2, you'll probably be using a blowpipe and you won't have a Dragon Hunter crossbow or a full melee setup with lance in your bank. But for just a normal setup, you see here I have all my stuff ready to go. I talk to the guy and get teleported, and then I talk to Torfin on the dock here. If you die at Vorkath, you will also right click on him and hit collect and pay a fee of 100k, and that's how you get your items back. So I come into the boss fight and I equip my full BGS switch, drink my anti-venom and my bastion and my super extended dragon fire, wake him up. I'm going to spec him once, didn't hit a lot. Generally, what people would do if they miss is they would just telly out, because it's actually worth to just reset, get your spec, and come back. So if you hit below, I'd say a combined 60 with the BGS, maybe consider going back, because the BGS does help a lot when you're using the blowpipe. But anyway, now we're just going to blowpipe him. I'm praying mage and rigor, and blowpipe is not going to do a lot of damage. You'll see, I just got my prayers disabled, I turn it back on, and now we're immediately in a acid walk phase. I'm trying to keep it simple, so I'm not going to be sitting here Woox walking and crip walking all over the place. I'm just going to play it normal, walk around, wait for it to end, and continue attacking. A good tip I would do is to eat only during downtime, like right when you get frozen, or maybe when you're walking around. I'm wasting a lot of ticks by just randomly eating while fighting him, so that extends the duration of the fight. You'll see, right now I just got frozen. I use my Crumble Undead, cast it on him, and he blows up. It's that simple. I eat, and now I'm back to attacking. I'm not going to get venomed because I drank the anti-venom. and I'm consistently moving away from the giant fireballs because those will deal a lot of damage. Otherwise, it's pretty much smooth sailing. We just sit here attacking him, avoid the acid walk phase, kill the zombified spawn, enable your prayers if they get turned off, move away from fireballs. It's really simple. I promise you, you will probably die when you first start. You'll just make dumb mistakes, or you'll get hit by a fireball, or you'll chance it and maybe you don't think the range will deal 34 damage and then it does exactly that. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with dying at Vorkath. Everyone does it. Well, 99% of people do it. I know people in my clan, and even me, who have hundreds of kills, I still randomly die just to dumb mistakes. There's no shame in it. I'm going to speed up the kill a little here because it really is so simple. You're only worrying about a few attacks and all the other ones just get thrown at you. Maybe they'll deal damage, maybe they won't. Otherwise, it really is simple. Alright, well that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Thank you so much if you've watched this far into the video, and let me know if you learned anything at all. Comment below if I got anything wrong so other people can know that watch the videos and they read the comments so they can know to correct it. I wish I could have covered more methods, shown more kills, for example, of me using melee or the Dragon Hunter crossbow, but I didn't want this video to be like 25 minutes long. The one thing I'll say about using the Dragon Hunter crossbow is you actually pray range instead of mage, but I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. My Discord is growing every day. New people are joining. It's going to be in the description. It's a nice community. Check it out. Follow my Twitter. I don't post on there much, but you can DM me. I don't know. Comment down below. Definitely subscribe. Like the video. More videos to come soon. See ya.